Right, we're going to move on now. We're going to have a little look at squad selection. And I'm going to kind of try and push you into picking and putting your players in order. So we want most to least nailed. So I've got a list of pretty much everybody that could be in consideration. We need you to get to 26, but starting with the names that are absolutely 100%, as far as you're concerned, going to be on that plane.
And Pickford, for me, he's a character, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and he won't shy away from any scenario, whether it be World Cup final or whether it be Liverpool, Everton, Derby. And I think he's evolving into a fantastic keeper. He's got his detractors, you know that, but everyone in this squad will have the detractors. But I'm a firm believer that he's the best goalkeeper in the country at the moment.
And if he has to face penalties, it always
He's
seems
brilliant.
to happen. Be good.
I mean, the beauty, I mean, he is so nerves of steel. I mean, he'd be the only goalie, I think, ever in the history of football that saves 2 penalties in the final and don't win it. Because I don't think that's ever happened any time. I mean, he should have been the hero. But unfortunately for the lads that missed him, he wasn't quite that like.
Next, most nailed. Anybody in the squad, you don't need to go start anywhere.
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Declan Rice, okay.
He's the number 1 in midfield for me now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he can drive on with the ball, he can sit and hold, he can read the game, read the situation. I think that he's got captain written all over him. Eventually, future.
Yeah.
You know, and the way he holds himself. So, for me, Declan Rice is nailed on.
So, number 3 then.
Well, if we're going with the obvious and mention captains, it'd have to be Harry.
Okay.
And I won't expand upon that if you don't mind.
Of course.
But I'd like to put the 4th in if that's okay.
Yeah.
And this may seem, touch bizarre, I feel. I'd like to nominate Conor Cody.
Okay.
And again, one of the reasons why I mentioned Conor Cody is because when we spoke before about having good people in the squad, reliable people, trustworthy people, people who can energise the squad, he's certainly up there with it. And as I said also, he will be competing for the starting place with the other centre-halves who are in there. So for me, he'd be the 4th.
Okay, great. Sam, number 5?
Phil Foden for me.
Yes, okay. Now we're talking. In incredible form as well.
Unbelievable. Scoring goals, making goals. He is yet to nail it with Gareth, prove himself that he's the number 1 spot yet. So in this form, I hope he's going to do that.
Okay, right. So he's our 5th nailed on. So next on that, and we're going to start moving down to a bit more like least, but we're at number 6 now.
Well, I'll put one if you don't mind. It's Bellingham.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me, I've seen him come on and play cameo roles. I think he'd be a starter. He'd be
A starter?
He would be in my
Okay.
team. So when we go into that, he'd be a starter for me.
Do you think he's going to end up in the Premier League soon, next season, couple of seasons?
There's strong talk of it, and I've got to be honest with you again. I think he should have happened this season.
I don't think he should have gone. I think Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal should have missed a magnificent opportunity to snap him up. I mean, Birmingham are always going to be at this stage struggling for money, struggling for cash, and looking to to capitalise on such a great player that they had, and for him to be ended up in Germany, I think is great.
Well, apparently, Sammy's high on Liverpool's list for next season. But as I said, well, if they've identified him, and again, it's me standing at criticism of Liverpool, I wouldn't dare, because their recruitment has been fantastic up until recent. And I think for me, if they identified him as being the one, they should have got him.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people wait a year. A lot can happen in a year.
So that was Jude Bellingham, who we're putting at number 6. So number 7.
Number 7 for me, I'm sticking with Harry Maguire.
Okay, I like it. And do you think
doing as I spoke to Miley before, and I'm going to give him the confidence to say, listen, you'll be there.
if he doesn't play regularly for United, will that affect it?
It'll affect him. It'll affect him in the fact that he's a little rusty. But if you come together as a squad and you're lifted by what's happening, and you get a couple of or a friendly game or two in, it'll be the opposite of all the others. Because we'll go about Harry's not playing, but he's fresh. He's fresh. He's
That's
fresh
a positive
physically
spin on it.
and
I like
mentally.
that.
He's looking forward to playing for England to shut everybody up. By the other token, all the others have come and they've been or maybe on the wrong side of a downward spiral because of fatigue, physically and mentally, because they've been playing so many games, Champions League, Carling Cup, League.
So many games.
So many games, time after time, all through the summer in the National League. So these lads have hit on a hard, really, really hard schedule, and may feel the pace of that schedule when they come together with England. Whereas Harry, not played so much, fresh, ready to go.
Okay, so 8th on our list. So we're moving down to most to least nailed. This is number 8.
I think obviously one it will be in, whether people agree or not. One it will be in is Sterling.
Yep.
He will be included in the squad. Again, he's one of Garrett's go-to players, it seems. So I think he will be in the squad.
Okay, 8, 9.
Grealish.
Yeah.
Again, another player that is coming into great form just in time for the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to live with it. He's got to live with the 100 million, hasn't he? He's had to live with the 100 million in Manchester City, and everybody's talked about him, about he's not delivering enough or much, or what he should do. His record said he's never been a great goal scorer, so it's all about his creativity,
his assists,
and his assists. Yeah. And you'll find he'll be the most fouled player in Manchester City's team, which gives them a massive opportunity to score goals off set pieces, which is big. Really big. So he's coming to terms with it. And there's one thing, this old saying is cool as a cucumber. And I think that give him the ball and he gives him a rest. Give him the ball and he takes them from one end of the pitch to the other so they can get collectively back together, back behind the ball, and then keep trying to create. And in the final third, tight situations can open it up.
All right, okay. Number 9, Jack Grealish. So number 10. So we're getting towards the halfway point.
I think one of the positions we haven't mentioned yet, Natalie, is left back. Again, seem to have an issue once again at left back. And for me, because you'd have to have cover, for me, it'd have to be Sean Chilwell. And Chilwell hasn't had a lot of football, but because we don't have many natural left footers, I think it'd have to be Sean and Chilwell to go in that left back spot. So there's 2. I would have to include anyway.
Yep. Okay. So that's number 10, Ben Chilwell. Number. And Luke Shaw. Sorry,
yeah.
Luke Shaw, 11. Yep. Lovely. That's 11. Luke Shaw. Yeah. Okay. 12, Sam.
I don't think in this guy, this lad for experience, is Jordan Henderson.
12.
He's a captain of Liverpool. He can be influential in the squad. Along with the rest of the experienced players. So, we've seen it all before, done it all before. And can be equally as important off the field as on it. Maybe coming on as a sub now, but certainly needs to be a part of the squad.
Without a shadow of a doubt, for the reasons we mentioned before.
Yeah.
My other ones would be that go across the park down to the right back.
Yep.
The Walker. If he's fit, and then if not, there'd have to be Reece James, And again, we don't mind Natalie, and I'll throw this in, and it's controversial for everyone out there. Trent has to go for me.
Okay.
Who did you say, Reece James?
Yeah.
He's got Reece James 14 and then Trent 15. Yeah. So let's chat Trent.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on in the current situation? How do you assess his current season?
Well, I think he's symptomatic of what's happening in Liverpool. I think the effect of them just missing the quadruple by a very, very narrow margin has affected them all. It's certainly affected him. And he is one of the most influential players. And in terms of even now, when he's not at his best moment, but there's a number of players in Liverpool that are not at the best moment at the time. So, but I think he will improve, and I think just for his creativity, his delivery, set pieces. I think for me, we know the question marks against him on his defending, but I think you'll have him in the squad. You'll have him to change games. Some of the set pieces Sam's talking about that Grealish will get for us. I think he'll be able to maximise them, and I understand the reservations about him. But I watch him week in, week out, and he's not in a good moment. But there are very few of them football at the moment. But they're getting better. I see, they are getting better, and they will get better. And I think he'll get to the tournaments, and I think he'll be looking to prove to people that he's worthy of his place there.
Sam, would you put him as a likely to go?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. I think that in the squad that's going to be there and managing that squad, and we're looking at, these lads are now experienced. 4 years ago, they were going into it with a lot of inexperienced players. Now they've all managed the experience of their own clubs and England semi-final, the World Cup, and semi-final and the final of the Euro. So they've got all what they need. They've got maturity. They've got ability. They've got a squad with great strength and depth now. And I think that it's going to be hopefully the big worry is injuries for Gareth now, between now and them going away, because they've got to fit 9 games in this next few weeks, haven't they? Which is a big ask anyway. So, yes.
Yeah. And a race against time for Kyle Walker as well, like we mentioned. So Trent is 15. So we've got a few more to go to. But in this kind of last 11, I want you to also try and think of a wild card. So somebody that maybe Gareth wouldn't pick, but you would at any point. So
I've got one.
Okay.
Wild card.
Okay.
I don't know whether when Dunk comes along in our next interview, whether I've got Anthony Gordon at Everton.
Okay, yes, we've got Duncan Ferguson as on our episode 2 guest. We'll be able to find out a lot from him. So we're putting him at Anthony Gordon at 16.
As a wild card.
What's she thinking behind him?
Well, I'm just watching his progress on. He seems to be such a big player for Everton at the minute, and seems to be, even last season when they were struggling really, really badly, it was the one lad that stood out a bit, that seemed to accept the ball and run at the defenders and open the defenders up and create, like you mean. So obviously not work with him and all that, but obviously just seeing and watching him, perform like that in a struggling team. Yeah. It's not easy to perform well in the struggling side as a youngster, and he seemed to do that.
Okay, love that as a wild card. So that is also, he's 16 on our list now. So 17?
I'll go with Ivan Toney. I know he's in that squad, but I've got to be honest here. I like the movements out of him. I think if you're a midfielder or if you're a fullback and you see the movement that this guy gives you options. Yeah. You're looking up the field and you've got movement. And also, as a centre-half don't like people running them out of the space. He certainly like being in his comfort zone anyway, and I think if you're someone like Ivan Toney who can dislodge him, disrupt him, get him moving, get him out of his position, that's against. But when you've got the ball and you've got that kind of movement with the ability that these players have got behind, I think they can find, and he can stretch teams, and he can stretch England's game.
If you need to change something, and I think you have to. People talk about a plan A and a plan B, and this needs to be talked about with the team, because obviously they're into being brainwashed into tippy tappy football. That's why I thought
No tippy tappy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a time and there's a place where you change the whole focus of what you're doing. And I saw Andy Carroll come on in a cup final for Liverpool, and Liverpool play off him, and he just turned the game in Liverpool's favour. I don't think they quite won, but he scored. But he made and caused absolute mayhem against the opposition, and I think that this lad could do that. But Gareth's got to be brave enough, and the players have to be brave enough to play off him, because no players in the World Cup will be used to playing against somebody like him. And that could be the turning point if need be.
I think there was a lot of excitement by England fans to see him in the last squad for the Nations League. And I think people were a bit disappointed that they didn't get to see more of him.
Yeah, I think, and that's always going to be the case, Natalie, but again, you have to trust Gareth. He knows what he's doing, he knows what he wants to do. I think the introduction, at the very least, for me, it pleased me. It really did. I think, wow, fantastic. And it gives me to think maybe just moving forward, that could be an option for them,
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of England fans agree with you. So 18?
Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Okay. 18, Mason Mount.
Had a bit of disruption this season with his change of manager and a squad that gets rotated and all of a sudden finds himself not playing quite as regularly as he was before. But maybe that's something. But he's already proven to be both with Chelsea and with England, of the right quality to be a big part of that squad.
Some great individual performances from him in recent Champions League games as well. So yeah, so 18, so 19.
Saka, without a doubt.
Saka, yep.
Without a doubt. I think he's having a terrific time at Arsenal. I think he's got a great coach with him. I do like the guy. Yeah, I do like him. I like Arteta. I like what he does. I like the passion he shows on the line. And I think he's getting the best out of that. And you only have to look at the upturn in their performances this season. The whole club is lifted. And I think Saka's been one of them. And I think, again, because of the disappointment of the last tournament, I think he's learned from that. And again, I think Gareth's handled him very, very well. He's maturing, and whatever disappointment was heaped upon him, whatever criticism was heaped upon him, he's taken that all on, and it's actually spurred him on to better things. So without a doubt for me, Saka.
Definitely. The resilience he showed after what he went through was brilliant. So 20.
Nick Pope.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, we do need a second goalkeeper. Yeah,
he's doing great stuff at Newcastle, and I think that this has elevated him into challenging Jordan Pickford. I think the biggest challenge for Jordan since he probably got in the team as England goalkeeper. So his form, Burnley, you don't get recognised as much as you should do. Newcastle, with all the hype that's going on there and the performances given and the team doing well, is going to take him up a level to challenge Jordan Pickford.
And you'd have to have a third goalkeeper, which would be Ramsdale.
Okay.
Me too.
But then moving on from that, if you don't mind, I'd go back to the centre-back situation again.
Yeah.
And I'd have to include Dyer in that for me.
Yep, Eric Dyer would be 22. Again, Tottenham having a great season. Okay, you've got 4 left.
Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
23.
23, brilliant.
If ever he's got a problem at any full-back position, he can play right or left-back equally just as good as... So he can be either side, no problem whatsoever, which I think it's the same as
Trent.
Picking Trent, but then there's Dyer as well, because if he needed to play Dyer in midfield in a holding position, if he had trouble, that's why they're good members of the squad.
Okay, so that's 23. We've got 3 more to go.
Yeah. I thought it may seem like a wild card.
Yes, this can be your wild card. Yes, yes, make it your wild card.
Conor Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher.
Now again, we had him at the West Brom, and I have to say to you, he was terrific for his son, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of Sam's favourites. He used to shout his name every time, and it only to improve him, and he did improve him. And I had to say to you, he went on loan to Palace and had a great season there as well. And I think the guy will give you an energy. He'll give you a youthful innocence. He'll like a couple of the others, and he can come. And I think he can be a bit of a game changer for me. We need that burst of energy. When the temperature will be very hot, we know about it. He can come on and just the youthfulness of him running around. Sometimes a little bit erratic, and his challenges sometimes are Sam, aren't he? He sometimes gives free kicks away, which can be a bit of a worry, because we mentioned before how big set pieces are going to be in every competition. But I'd take him along.
That's the best wild card of the lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is. Why I missed him out, I'm going to punish myself. Because you know why? Let me tell you this, lad. We picked him every week at West Brom in a really bad team, right? We made that team better in January. We got in, but he never ever not took the challenge on.
Never hid.
Never. There was more experienced players who played in the Premier League who'd we had to leave out before we even thought about leaving him out. And the beauty about that is his mental strength. And sometimes when that happens to you, when you're losing week in and week out as a 19-year-old, you go backwards. Yeah. He didn't go backwards. He took that experience and then went to Palace and got, I'm not doing that again. I'm not experiencing that again. And he went and took Palace by storm, so... You
gave him the tough love as well, didn't you?
I did,
it was a tough love, seriously, it was. But again, because you knew, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but he knew that he was going on to bigger and better things. And he needed that. He needed that tough love.
Okay, so you've got 2 left to pick. I'm just going to give you some names, some big names that we've not included yet. So John Stones, Tyrone Mings, not in yet. James Ward-Prowse, James Maddison, Calvin Phillips, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho,
Bowen.
Jared Bowen too. Are you having him?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. 25.
And I'll go with for me, the white kid at Arsenal, Ben White.
Ben White.
Wow,
Okay.
that's a bit of a wild card, that one, lads.
No John Stones.
Well, no, because I like, again, Ben White for me can play in a number of positions,
Okay.
which I think is going to be useful to England. If you go to a tournament, he could have injuries. Again, it's not a criticism of John. You know, he's playing a fantastic football team with a fantastic coach, so we won't need my recommendation, my endorsement. But I just tend to think that Ben White, when we get him in there, I think he's having a terrific time at Arsenal. I think he's doing really well, and I just tend to think, for me, he can play in a couple.
We've been a bit wild with our wild
I love
cards.
it. I love it. Do you know what? I think our squad would be really exciting.
Yeah.